Welcome to this party political broadcast on behalf of the Workers' Party of Britain. The first reason for making it is, of course, seasonal. We wanted to wish all of the good people of Britain, and indeed the world, a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. The second reason for making this broadcast is because this is our birthday. It is the anniversary, more or less, within a day or two, of the first birthday of the Workers' Party of Britain, the first anniversary. And I want to take this opportunity to thank all of my comrades, all of the Workers' Party cadre at a national level and at a local level, because in this exceptional year, when the normal methods of agitation and party building have been denied to us as denied to all others, public meetings, street work, and so on, we have nonetheless, in this year of the coronavirus, attracted thousands of members, now organized into well over 70 individual branches. Just think about the feat that was required to attain that achievement. It is truly phenomenal. We were born, therefore, in an abnormal 12 months, and we have used methods that may become the new normal to build ourselves, draw attention to our program, to agitate, educate, organize people that may become, as I say, the norm. We have attracted literally millions of views to the various broadcasts that we have made throughout the past 12 months. We have held weekly, for the most part, virtual members' meetings, which the public could also look in on, be attracted by what they saw and heard, and then themselves join the party. And thousands of people have come to us. So a big thank you to everyone that made that possible. A big salute to every one of the members of the Workers' Party of Britain. The third reason for making this broadcast is because we are almost out of the European Union, and therefore it falls to us, for no one else is doing it, to try and present the vision thing. Try and present the picture of what the new Britain about to be born could be, should be, must be in many respects. It is, of course, only moments from midnight, metaphorically. At the time of recording, we cannot yet know what the final shape of any agreement between Britain and the European Union should be. We as a party are unmoved one way or another by the prospect of leaving with no deal, because no deal has many upsides to it. It has a big upside in not having to pay £40,000 million, £40 billion in a divorce settlement to the EU, which has proved utterly unreasonable in the negotiations so far. It would be, I think, a suitable recompense for them if they were now not to receive that divorce payment of £40 billion. But we must imagine that the pressures of European capital, which wants to go on selling us things, remember, they sell us far more than we sell them, will prevail upon the bureaucrats and politicians in Brussels in the European Union, so as not to sacrifice overly the easy access to the British marketplace. We would, I think, if pushed, prefer not to have an agreement with the European Union, at least if that agreement requires us to make concessions on our national sovereignty and on our ability to organize, reorganize our economy in the needs of the people. It has come to something where most of what passes itself as the British left is supporting the EU in these negotiations, even though one of the major sticking points is that the EU insists that no British government after Brexit should be able to offer state aid to industry. I'm not making that up. Boris Johnson and the Tories are demanding the right to give state aid to British industry, and the European Union, with the backing of most of the so-called left in Britain, is insisting that in the interests of free market economics, the level playing field, fair competition, and the rest, Britain must not be allowed to give state aid. Well, whether Boris Johnson sells that out or not, we will continue to insist that it is necessary. It is necessary in a whole range of industries, a whole range of ambitions. Let me sketch quickly just a couple of them. We are an island. We need a shipbuilding industry. We don't know when and if the European Union or any others will sanction us for doing something they don't like and not sell us any ships. We cannot be left without ships. We are an island. And so we must insist on the right of the British government to intervene in the shipbuilding industry, to prioritize, favoritize British-built ships so that we can rebuild our shipbuilding industry, which was once the pride of the world and then was betrayed and is now virtually non-existent. That cannot be allowed to continue. Ditto our fishing industry. Our coastal communities have been devastated by more than 40 years of EEC and then EU depredation. It's funny, they always try to tell us the fishing industry is not important in the British economy, and yet it seems to be extremely important in the economy of the European Union, particularly France, particularly the Netherlands. Well, that doesn't make any sense. If it's important for them, it must potentially be important for us. And so any British government, certainly one in which the Workers' Party had a say, would insist on the sovereignty of British waters and a British fleet of fisher communities would have to be built, and with government state aid in the beginning to get them off and sailing. These are just two obvious quick examples. There are many others. But let's assume that we leave the European Union. New Britain is born on the 1st of January, just days from now. What kind of Britain will we be fighting for? Well, first of all, and the reason why we supported Brexit with all of our hearts, is it must be an independent Britain. It must be free to chart its own path of independent development with an independent foreign policy and independent economic policies too. We must never again allow ourselves to be dictated to either by the European Union or by the United States of America or by anyone else. We must be free and independent and able to make our own alliances in the world based on our sovereign rights. We must be free, therefore, to withdraw from NATO as we have withdrawn from the European Union on the basis that it is not in our interest to remain in a war alliance when there's no war and no need for war with any adversary that would require the NATO powers to move against it. Nobody is threatening Britain, and the better we do in the new Britain, the less anyone would dream of threatening us. We would become a valuable, a valued ally of independent mind. And that's the kind of Britain that we want to see. Let me again give just one or two concrete examples. At this moment in time, We are sanctioning China, the biggest economy in the world, the only economy in the world still growing, an economy which even China's worst enemies would not deny will be the preeminent economy in the entire world throughout this 21st century, and we're sanctioning them. We have made enemies of China, not because of anything China has ever done to us, not because China is any kind of threat to us, but because the United States decided to make an enemy of China, because China is a threat to their hegemony in the world, their economic and political and military dominance in the world. So we have made an enemy of China, not in protection of our own interests, but in furtherance of the interests of the United States. That's simply ridiculous. So we're looking for trade deals around the world. We've done one with the Faroe Islands. We've done one with Mexico just this very day, and these are all good. We have 58 agreements around the world, and we oppose none of them in principle. But here's the 59th. Let Britain make a free trade agreement with China. Why not? That would make all boats rise. China would rise because we would be trading with it, with our expertise, our experience, the brilliance of our scientists, the brilliance of our engineers, our fintech industry, the brilliance of our young people, in all of the new industries that will dominate the 21st century, and we would benefit from Chinese investment in our economy. So we want free trade with China. Why should we sanction China in the interests of somebody else? Ditto Russia. The Russian and Chinese economies are, of course, increasingly intertwined, as they are politically, even militarily, more and more acting as one country, really, rather than two. And these are two gigantic economies. Russia is the biggest country in Europe. Moscow is the biggest city in Europe. Why not have good relations with Moscow instead of bad relations? After all, again, the bad relations are the product of our involvement under United States hegemony in the NATO confrontation with Russia. Now, wouldn't that transform our economic prospects if we had a free trade agreement with China and Russia in 2021? You bet it would. I have myself raised this with President Putin in Sochi a couple of years ago. He did not want to discuss in public what potential post-Brexit economic relations between Russia and Britain could be, but I'm ready to help in this. I'm ready to help in brokering better relations between Britain and China and Russia in the new British age, which is about to dawn. The second thing we want, if independence is the first, the second that we want is unity. We oppose separatism in this small island of English-speaking people for lots of reasons, but one of the main ones is because it's fool's gold. It promises the workers things which can never be delivered, would never be delivered, could never be delivered in a small country with a vast territory of 5 million people determined to join actually, the European Union, but only if they could satisfy the criteria for joining the European Union, which would lead to the absolute decimation of the Scottish public sector, in which half the people in the country work. Do the maths. Half the people in Scotland are working in the public sector. To join the European Union, to join the Euro, would require such a vast cut in the budget deficit in Scotland that there would be no public sector worth the name left in the wake of that. And so, right from the beginning, Scotland would be utterly crippled and would possibly never recover. And we cannot wish that on our fellow citizens who happen to live in one part of Britain rather than another. But it's also fool's gold, like anti-Semitism, like racism, like sectarianism, and all the other things that are sent among us to divide us. It pretends that the problem that we face is other than what it is. The problem for all of the working people in Britain is the political and economic system in which we live. It's not the fault of somebody else because of where they live, what color they are, what religion they profess, their ethnicity. It's not any of these things. On the contrary, these ideas are sent among us to divide us so that we never coalesce in a mighty front that could actually change the way things are. And so the idea that Scotland's problems are because of England, Newcastle, Manchester, Liverpool, Hull, London. Are we really saying that people just like us, who speak like us, who watch the same television as us, follow the same national game as us, read the same stuff as us, listen to the same music as us, that by dividing us, we're going to be stronger? Of course not. It's utterly ridiculous. So we oppose separatism. That's why the Workers' Party has played the leading role in the creation of the Alliance for Unity, an alliance which seeks to halt the neferendum in Scotland so that we can get back to actual politics, normal politics, the politics of class against class, idea against idea, policy against policy. That's what we need in Scotland, and we are determined to do it. And once we've stopped this neferendum, got Scotland off this hamster wheel, then the Workers' Party of Britain will begin mass organisation in Scotland. And because I have played this leading role, and because I think the Workers' Party will benefit from the resultant prestige of having played the role that we have to keep the country together, we are set fair for rapid development in Scotland, and we will right after May. We'll be standing in elections, we'll be standing for councils, for parliament, we'll be building branches, we'll be educating, agitating, organising everywhere in Scotland, as indeed we will throughout the land. By the time I speak to you next year, the second anniversary of the foundation of the Workers' Party, we will be at least twice the size, with at least twice the number of branches. So write that down. We will have more than 8,000 members this year, next year at this time, and we will have more than 150 branches. That's a promise. You can bet on that. So a united Britain, an independent Britain, automatically a friend of none and automatically an enemy of none. We will treat as we find. We will deal with others as they deal with us. And we offer a future of mutual respect in the mutual interest of Britain's relations with everybody. You don't need to like somebody to trade with them. If we did, we wouldn't be selling a barrel load in Saudi Arabia, would we? You get my drift. All that is necessary is that we do not interfere in each other's internal affairs, that we show mutual respect to each other, and that our relations are mutually beneficial. That's the future for Britain. That's what Britain as a world player a global player, should be, could be, and we argue must be, for there is no other future that can satisfy our people's legitimate demands and play a decent and positive role in the world. And I close on that point. Our role in the world must always be to insist on international legality, insist on the principles of non-interference in the internal affairs of others, insist on amity rather than enmity, insist on the right of all people to determine their own future, including the right of all people to unite with each other. We didn't agitate to leave the European Union because we hate the people of Europe. How could we do any such preposterous thing? We hope that one day international cooperation between Britain and the peoples of Europe, indeed the peoples of the world, grows to a higher and higher level. We oppose the EU because it is anti-democratic and because of its dedication to endlessly lock us in to a finance capital future which had already beggared our people. We don't believe that capitalism is all there is. We don't believe that capitalism is as good as it gets. We believe in something different. We believe in something better. And you can consult the program of the Workers' Party of Britain and see in detail what it is in which we believe. In short, though, in Blake's words, we seek to build the new Jerusalem in this green and pleasant land. And we hope that you will join us, or at least give us an ear and listen out for what we've got to say throughout 2021. There will be many challenges. The COVID-19 has wreaked a public health disaster upon us. We've suffered disproportionately because of the economic and political system in which we live. Our rulers have produced the tears of a clown in response to a national emergency, and thus have made it 10 times worse, 100 times worse than it needed to be. And we will not hesitate, of course, to point that out. But the economic damage of COVID-19 is going to be very severe indeed. And the workers will be asked to pay the price first and foremost of that crisis. Insofar as they are, and insofar as we are able, still in our fledgling years as a workers' party, we will offer absolute solidarity with all the working people challenged in any way by the Conservative government and the system that it represents. And we will stand beside, literally if we can, virtually if we cannot, any workers attacked and who decide to stand up and fight for themselves. Here's my postscript. One of the main reasons for founding the Workers' Party of Britain was because we knew 12 months ago what was going to happen inside the Labour Party. We knew that Brexit was going to destroy Labour at the general election just a few days after our foundation. We knew that that would mean the overthrow of Jeremy Corbyn. We knew that that would mean the return of Blairism to power in the Labour Party. And we knew that the return of Blairism to power in the Labour Party would unleash a purge of the good people who had supported Jeremy Corbyn with all their heart and for the best of reasons. And that's what's happened. Thousands are streaming out of the misnamed Labour Party. We exist to provide a home for you, where instead of endlessly fighting inside your own party, you can fight for the things we all believe in outside here in the real world against the real enemy. It may take weeks, months for you to get over your heartache. Maybe you've been expelled, maybe you've been suspended, maybe you've resigned in disgust, maybe you've simply not renewed your membership. It may take a while for you to come to terms with the heartache that you feel. I understand it. But when you do, when you're thinking clearly again, you must know that the choice is as it was 100 years ago, in the words of Rosa Luxemburg. The future is socialism or barbarism. That dichotomy, true then, true now. Don't give up the fight for socialism. Fight for it with us in the Workers' Party of Britain. Thank you for watching.